Hewenden Viaduct is situated near Cullingworth in West Yorkshire, and it is one of the highest viaducts in Britain and has been recognised as a Grade 2 listed structure. At its highest point, it is actually 123 feet, that's 37 metres in height, and spanning a distance of 576 yards, that's 527 metres. At the northern end of the viaduct there is the small village of Cullingworth, and Denholm a little further south as it heads on towards Thornton. We'll even kind of see the site of Wilsden station, which is actually a couple of miles from the village of Wilsden, but that is at the southern side of our viaduct. So taking a look at railmaponline.com, you can see Hewenden Viaduct right in the centre of our map, and Hewenden Reservoir, which is actually a few decades older than the viaduct, is on the left of the viaduct. You can see Cullingworth just at the top and the route down towards Denholm right at the bottom. We can zoom in. Hewenden Viaduct is right bang in the middle alongside the beautiful Hewenden Reservoir. Both of them go hand in hand to add to such a beautiful environment. And now I'm going to take you down towards the site of the overbridge. This is where Wilsden station was and is now filled in. It looks like it's somebody's backyard, but we can still get underneath the bridge, as you'll see as we head down to look at this, explore. So we stood under the bridge which goes over the track bed, which will take us down towards the viaduct, Hewenden Viaduct. The station buildings are there, station road is over there. You can see it's all infilled and it goes onto someone's garden. So the reservoir down there has 2,960 cubic metres of catchment area, and it was flooded in 1845. So you've got to imagine the views on the train of the viaduct, which is just around there out of sight, must have been astounding, coming down and looking at the countryside around. It's quite often these reservoirs, they appeared in the 1900s, didn't they, like Ladybower and Derwent, etc. So I'm quite surprised how old this one actually is. So there's the track bed we started at just there. Look, you see a lot of landscape fields over there. There's some really high hills and farms over there, and we're about to approach our Hewenden Viaduct, which is on quite a curve, as you'll see. So it was opened in 1883 and it lasted until October 1963. It was a double track width and it has 17 spans, 17 stone and brick arches. So over that side, some magnificent views. Look at that down there, and that'll take us towards the village of Cullingworth if we carried on. Bit of a refuge just here, look, and I can show you down below. If we shoot over to the other side, Hewenden Reservoir. It looks pretty small from this shot, and you can see the overflow coming down a cascade just down there. So it's a tarmac surface up for everybody to come across and enjoy, cyclists, wheelchair users, horses even. There's that refuge we were just standing in just there. An example of variations of the stone walling. Look, great big blocks, then you've got the thinner sections on the second half before the coping stones on the very top. Fourth refuge just here. I am trying to count them. Slightly better view of the reservoir just there, look, and how it narrows off is the distance. There's an abandoned quarry in the distance as well beyond the reservoir. There's the cascade again. We'll go across to this side towards the fifth refuge, and you can see a better view of where we are. We're pretty much above the 6th or 7th arch right now. Look at that old stone walling going around there. Over about the 8th or 9th arch right now. Now, shortly after opening this viaduct and the route, freight traffic boomed, and a lot of that was the textile industry, because there's a lot of textile manufacturing in the UK in the 1800s. But as we got into the 1900s, that declined quite a lot. It plummeted, in fact, and it probably led to the eventual closure in 1963, when freight traffic of all sorts, not just textiles, basically disappeared from the industrial scene. I'm fast approaching the other end of the viaduct, and as usual I've forgotten how many refuges there are. If I turn you about, you can see the route heading off towards Cullingworth in that direction, and I think you can walk it for about another quarter of a mile, but we won't be doing that today. So there's the view looking back down the viaduct. Look, it's even got one of those things for you to mount and dismount on your horse if you've got yours with you. And there's the bridge plate at the other end, look, in memory of Phil Jackson. There's the view looking at the curve of the viaduct is astounding. Just behind the trees there's your reservoir, Hewenden Reservoir. Beautiful curved structure, isn't it? Now right now I've got myself down the very first arch. You see the dam wall and the reservoir and the archway of red brick going over, and stonework on the pillar. If I was to keep going down this way, which I don't know if I will, but I'm sure I can see the old marker sign on there of the British Railways Board, BRB. It's going to be a bit sketchy getting down there, but I'm going to try. Luckily there are a few trees of which I can climb onto. Oh, this is fun, isn't it? Down we go. There it is. Look at that. So at the very base of the very first arch, you can look up and you see that red brickwork again, look, going over and down. If we peer around the other side, I'm actually going to go up to this wall and try and get a side shot. It is a public footpath, look. That's good, isn't it? There we go. So at the bottom, and we can follow it around on the outer curve going around. So there's a nice public footpath just there, so I'm going to come across a little way and have a little look at it further down. So underneath this beautiful structure, just look how high that is. That is absolutely astounding, isn't it? We've got the flow of the water, as you've seen on that side, coming down from the cascade and the outfall of Hewenden Reservoir. What a beautiful spot. I could easily camp under here, it'd be brilliant. I'm going to make my way back up to the footpath and try and skirt around over that way. And we've got these little signs on every pillar leading down to the river. The British Railways Board hereby give notice that this way is not dedicated to the public, part of the Highways Act of 1980. And here she is from the opposite side of where the reservoir is. The reservoir, the dam wall is just there, and the river and the overspill, the steps are just over there. We can see a better view of her, can't we? All 17 arches spanning the valley over towards where we began, over there. Slightly better view now. Look at this, we can go all the way across, almost fitted in 2 fingers. Point you over there, and again we're a bit closer to the dam. What a beautiful day for this, isn't it? It's a shame you can't walk across. I don't believe there is actually access across the dam. And here is that dam overspill. So it's a nice little curve of an overflow just there, coming down with a nice gentle flow going down the cascade. Look at that. Nice bit of rainfall we've had recently on its journey towards the viaduct just there. It does appear there is no access across there. It would have been brilliant if you could. It would have been a nice circular walk, wouldn't it? But I think we're out of luck with that one. So I'll abandon that idea and push on back to the top of the viaduct. So down there is the trackbed where we began the video, and I'm stood atop that bridge. I'll do that, look, and you can see, just make out the archway. Take you across the other side, it would have been Wilsden station, and there was platforms, signal box, station house over there, and all numerous manner of sidings were on that side. But you can see that infill again we saw at the very beginning of the video. But I'll add some photos of the station, and you can see for yourself what this view would look like.